Hello and welcome to Startup TV. We're here at the beautiful Adam Street in London interviewing Alex Mitchell of the IOD. Well, you can tell us what it means. Alex, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Mark. Thanks for having me along.
Oh, you're more than welcome. IOD, what's that about?
Well, the IOD is the Institute of Directors. We've been around over 100 years now. We're there we're an individual membership organisation, so you can join if you're a director with, I think, as a minimum of about 4 to 5 years experience of being a director.
Right.
We have about 45,000 members across the whole of the UK and Europe. A number of affiliated organisations across the world as well. We're there to do a number of different roles, really, to support directors in relation to the roles, the programme, the story they're going through in running their own businesses, to enhance networking, to provide learning, training, development for directors, as well as having quite a major policy impact as well to try and help the UK become more competitive for business now and going forward, and to lobby government on behalf of that, on behalf of directors and business as a whole.
Okay, so in terms of within the IOD, what is your function? What do you do?
It's a good question. I've got a rather bizarre job title. I'm Head of Influencer Relations at the IOD.
Okay.
It's a role I've held for about 3 years now, and even now I'm trying to work out exactly what it entails and what it means. It's actually a great role. It means I get involved in a lot of different areas within the IOD, and crucially also with the IOD's members across the whole of the UK and other partner organisations that we might work with. So it gives me quite a broad remit, do a lot of networking, a lot of talking to members, as well as a degree of talking to government and other organisations. Crucially, in relation to the area you're coming from, I get quite heavily involved in startups and youth enterprise as well. So it's quite a broad, all-encompassing role, really.
Okay, great. And you mentioned you get involved in youth enterprise, and you are a founding member of the
G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance.
It's too long for me. I only work in acronyms.
G20YA is what we go for.
Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about that? How did you get involved?
It came about at the Toronto G20 Leaders Summit, which took place in June last year, 2010.
Yeah.
It was with an idea that came about with myself and a number of other friends and contacts from different organisations within the 19 major nations and then the European Union as well,
Okay.
which makes up the 20th member.
Yeah.
It was the idea of sharing ideas, sharing best practice, sharing thoughts, providing networking opportunity, and trying to provide a combined voice for small businesses, young entrepreneurs, startups, etc., at an international level to try and get that voice heard by the G20 leaders. With these young entrepreneurs, young businesses, startups in the area you operate and you see day to day, they are the wealth generators, they're the job creators within every country. And at the moment, especially last year and going forward, the roles that startup and entrepreneurs can play both on a national and international level are absolutely crucial to economic development and economic stability going forward.
Okay, and you touched on your Young Entrepreneurs Alliance being very much based around networking.
Yeah.
How can you apply that to someone who's just starting a business or someone who's a budding entrepreneur? How can they make a positive impact in terms of networking?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a really good question. Everyone talks about networking. In the United States, they do networking quite well. It's the whole point of networking is not necessarily to look at someone and see what you can get out of them, what can they do for me, but it's a case of an informal conversation and a sort of more of a long-term agenda associated with it. So I do networking, and it's been networking, it's part of the role, and I feel that business growth, business development, it's all about conversations, and it might not necessarily be what I could do for you or you could do for me, but it might be that you come across someone and you're able to say, oh, well, Alex at the IOD might be able to help, or I come across someone and say, oh, well, Mark at Startup TV magazine might be able to help you, or someone you know might be able to help. It's about it's about learning, and it's about getting ideas and different ideas. Now, why I say they do it well in the US is because in the UK, I still feel there's a bit of stigma attached with networking. People, it's conversations behind closed doors and things like this. Networking should be a very open and frank conversation and discussion, and people should go in there and understand what the whole purpose of it is, why they're doing it. It shouldn't necessarily be going in and going, right, I've got a room full of people, how many new business opportunities can I get out of it? Networking in that instance will not work for new businesses. You've got to look at a room of people and think, how many different ideas can I hear in this room? What are people up to? What are they doing? What are their stories? How can I help them? And in turn, by helping them, it's very much a sort of karma type thing. Go in with a sort of karma mentality. If you help other people, they will in turn help you, and it's a long-term thing. So I don't know if that really answers the question.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
it does, and I think it's important for people to realise that, what social networking actually can mean for their business. And it's, like you say, it's not just a sales pitch.
Exactly, and I think you mentioned social network and also the take-up of new media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. It is about that conversation. We have a big, it's a subject that comes up with our members and a number of other organisations I'm involved in as well. People look at it and they tend to look at new media and sort of social networking as what would be seen as traditional networking. So it's sort of, you've got this group of people and you sort of come in with it with this mentality of how can I direct market to these people. It isn't about that. You've got to enter into a conversation. You've got to be willing to learn. If you are able to enter into that conversation, it might be liaising with competitors in your marketplace, it might be asking questions, creating debate, all this sort of area. Any way to sort of bring a conversation about and to go in it with a very open mind and not sort of focus on the traditional parameters that you might associate with offline networking and things like this. It's got to be a very open and free sort of exchange of ideas and conversation.